Hey, this is a different, longer podcast because it's an extract. It's an extract from a Q&A Zoom call I did for my son Joseph Clough. He has a program that helps people let go of their core issues, anxiety, those negative beliefs. And he and I do a at least 1 hour long Q&A live call twice each a month, where we answer questions and also bring in new stuff to the program. And the one I did a little while ago was all about, I've called it the Ikigai Of Stretch. And I explained Ikigai about that in the Q&A recording. But it's all about how I think with this new, it's not a new process, I don't think so, but a process that I've sort of developed, helping you to change from a behavior you don't like to something you do like, or a behavior you're not doing and you want to do, something stopping you, and how to get on to doing it. So this is an extract. The recording is a little bit wavy. I've cleaned up as best I can, so it's not too bad. But I think you'll really enjoy it because it's just another way, another process of being able to change easily and effortlessly. And at the end, I actually it's around about an 8 minute sort of hypnosis process. So if you're up for that, carry on right to the end. Just make sure you're not driving, you're not needed anywhere, your attention is needed elsewhere is not a thing. Okay? Didn't make sense, but basically you can only focus on this. If you need something else, you must go away and do that, because it is sort of hypnosis. So please enjoy, and at the end of it, I'll quickly wrap up.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.
If I haven't spoken about it before, and I think I have, but I'm going to explain it again. There's a thing called Ikigai, which is like intersecting circles. And Ikigai came from, I believe, and I'm sure I'm getting it wrong, but some type of Japanese island somewhere where these people live for millions of years, well, hundreds of years, 100 years so. Live long lives, and they live wonderful lives because they have this thing called Ikigai, which means following your purpose, finding your purpose. And when you find your purpose, you find exactly the thing that gives you the most zing in life, as it were. And the way I learnt it was there's 3 intersecting circles. So if you can imagine, and I can't do it on these screens, but if you can imagine 3 circles intersecting. So 1, 2, and 1 down there. The first circle is called the things I like to do. So these are just things I like to do. The next circle beside that is entitled the things I'm good at. Because sometimes the things we like to do, we can really like it, but we're no bloody good at it, but we just like doing it. But there's other things that we do that sometimes they just come so naturally, or we've worked so hard to make them come so naturally. We're really good at it, and we work so hard because we bloody like to do it. So you got then the join between the two of the things what you like to do and what you're good at. The third circle is, and this is more about finding your purpose in life as maybe a business or the way of making it in life, is what are people prepared to pay you for? So the bit in the middle that puts them all together, the sweet spot, is the things you're good at, the things you love doing, and people will pay you for. That is where your passion comes, or is. And when you find that, you get that, I don't believe it, I don't get, I haven't worked a day in my life, I just do the things I love. No, you have worked. You've worked bloody hard to get there. But that's a sweet spot. But then this is the thing I made a note yesterday, because I was talking to Joe about this and we were just having a little chat, and I said, this is what I'm thinking about talking about tomorrow. And he didn't know much about it. I said, oh, here we go. This is what it is. And within about a minute of us closing the call, he sent me a little note. Oh, look what I found. I found another step to your Ikigai. And the third step is a fourth circle. Yeah, fourth circle is your fourth step. And the fourth circle is what the world needs. And I thought, wow. And I put it in my little book. So I was so pleased that Joe suddenly found something and felt so compelled to tell me about it, which made my life a little better, because I felt I've learned something from my son. He wanted to share it with me, which is my little bit of beauty in the world. But also it made so much more sense to me, because I always got hung up with this is really about finding your passion in business. But when you add what the world needs, you can even let that bit about what the world will pay you for get smaller. Because isn't that like the selfless service? Liking what you do, being really good at what you like and what the world needs. And by the way, now and again, you might even get paid for it. But you could get paid for it, maybe in that law of reciprocity, reciprocal action, karma. You put out something good, you do something what the world needs, you do something for no one to return, and bam, the world will pay you for it. The universe will pay you for it without you wanting it. So that was Ikigai. Now, I wanted to change that a little bit, because I like thinking of how I can change things that work into something else. Because if they work, how can we adapt it, mold it, model it? So I started to think of, well, I want to change. Maybe I want to change an emotion. Maybe I want to change a behavior. Maybe I want to change the way I think. Because something new, there's a thing called the communication model in NLP. Basically, an event happens out there and you take it through your eyes and or your sight. I'll do it again. Your sight, your ears, your feelings, all your senses, smell and taste. You take these things in and you filter it. You filter it, deletions, distortions, and generalizations, and then all your values and your beliefs. And you've got all these wonderful filters going on so you can understand what's happening in the world. And then they affect and become an internal representation in your mind, such as having that little picture in your mind that you don't always know you've got because you're in it. And that internal representation has a little voice, and we've all got a little voice, and sometimes we don't realize we've got a little voice because we're talking to that little voice. Well, that little voice is talking to us. We're so wrapped up into it, we don't realize it. But that's connected to your emotions, your state. And that's connected to your physiology. And when you get all those three together, there's your behaviors. So whatever you affect, if you change your behavior, you will change your physiology, you will change the state you're in, and you'll change the pictures and the voice in your head. But if you change the pictures in your mind, you will change the feelings and you'll change your physiology and your behaviors. They're just interlinked. Everything happens. And I thought, how can we use that? How can we use it in maybe just wanting to, I call it the Ikigai of Stretch. Because sometimes, and I know this happens when people come to Mind Mastery, sometimes they're looking for that magic aha moment, that big shift, the thing that knocks your socks off and what have you. Generally, it isn't, because it's like evolving. You're learning and learning and learning and changing and changing and changing until you're out the other side without knowing that you've even gone through it. And you're in your new normal, because each one is a little stretch and a little more stretch and a little more stretch. So it's things that you can, yes, sometimes it's can be a little difficult, but you know that you're going to get through to the next one and the next one, and you feel so good. So I started to think, if I could put 3 circles together and use it as a change machine. And the first circle would be the thing I want to change. Call it our present state, as it were. So it could be maybe being triggered by something and you fire off an emotion. Could be a habit you've got. Or maybe it's a skill that you want to learn. Maybe it's the emotion you want to get better at. It's like confidence, competence. Or maybe it's like fear that you want to get rid of. And it's not the big fear that we attach to all these core issues. It's those little fears. The little things that just maybe just put a hold on you, hold you back for a bit. And so that was the first circle. Where am I? What is the thing I want to change? The next circle, which is interacting with that one, is, well, some people just want to change. I just don't want this fear anymore. I don't want this anxiety anymore. I want to be confident. I want to be competent. All this thing, I just want to be. But we don't really go into any detail. So how do I want to be? In what context? And think about, well, if this thing is triggering me to have fear, how would I like to be? Because sometimes you have to think about what would be the most appropriate resource, emotion and behavior and skills to have instead. And it could well be, instead of being courageous, it could be something like being aware. Just being aware. Being able to connect. Being able to be, in the words of every person lately, is be vulnerable. But how could be just a little bit vulnerable? Share a little bit. Because once I've shared a little bit, because sharing a big bit was too much, but sharing a little bit, maybe that's just a way to start getting that more confident in ourselves, understanding ourselves, and getting connection with others. So we've got another circle now. So we've got a second. And it's more specific. How do I want to be? And you'll notice in all of this, there's no why. There's no why do I act this way? Why have I got this fear? Why have I got this anxiety? Why am I getting angry about things? Why have I got these thoughts in my head? Because we don't want to know the why. Why just bring up all those excuses and beliefs that are just there to try to support? We don't want to know. We just want to know. Acknowledging how we are. We're not accepting it, by the way, because if we accept it, we accept it as being the truth, and it's okay. Well, actually, it's not okay because we want to change, but we're acknowledging, well, that's how I am at this moment, because that's how I want to be. And this will be the effect. So it's not just like I want to be less fearful. I now want to be more comfortable in this environment, this particular context. And this will allow me to be this and this and this. Maybe it'll allow us in a career. Maybe this will allow us to find a connection with people that we wouldn't have done before. So now we've got the two. Present state, desired state, and the effect of that desired state. And again, we're not even talking about too much of the effects of where we are right now. We just know we want to change it. We know exactly what we want to change. The third one that interlinks is the things I can do to change. And this is why I call it the stretch. Because the stretch is how smaller steps can I make this change to be? So what are all the steps I could make? All the different things and resources I've got. All my resources. What are the things that are going to help me make this change? And then finding the smallest one. Because, again, we can have this wonderful acknowledgement of, yep, this is an area of my life I'm going to change. It's not serving me and I want to change. And I know exactly how I want to be. I give an example of I'm totally unfit, totally unhealthy, Therefore, I know the negativity of all of that. How do I want to be? I want to be fit. I want to be lean. I want to be doing this and that. And what opportunities is it going to give me? Well, I'll be out with friends. I'll be able to do this. I'll be able to do join other groups. I've got all these wonderful things that are going to happen. What am I going to do then? What I'm going to do is starve myself and go to the gym 6 hours a day, every day. And the first day, I'm going to run 6 miles on a treadmill. And I'm also going to row for 5 miles. And the next day you give up because it's too hard, too big, too far. Because we hadn't taken into account the number of steps it would take. We've just jumped to that end resource. But we need that end picture. That's the big picture. The big picture that we keep in mind while we're doing the smaller steps. Because that big picture, when you dive into it, if you could metaphorically dive into that you in that desired state, that wonderful place, it would feel bloody awesome. And when you were there looking through your own eyes, having got there, you'll be able to see all the effects it's had in that change, all the wonderful opportunities you're going to get. And so you've got a wonderful feeling. And we all know what we call that feeling. It's called the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And it feels bloody awesome. And that's why we tend to want to make that big jump. We get confused, we either get overwhelmed, or we just get injured. And it feels horrible. It's too much. So we give up. And the worst thing about that is we can create a habit of doing that. And then we get a belief about ourselves, which is a totally bonky belief of, well, I was never meant to be. I'm not good enough for that. People found me out and I suck at it, which is totally wrong. The only thing you sucked at is you'd made too big a jump. And it was just and if we look at that, that's not failure. The first thing you look at is, I got a result. It was the worst result I could think of. It wasn't the one I wanted. But I know what I can learn from that, which is take bloody smaller steps. Think about it, but holding that big picture in mind, the ultimate vision of that. So what I thought was, well, you can put all your resources there, but now you could do this. And I do suggest if you want to do this as a process, you do it in handwriting to start off with. Because it's good to describe your present state. Because I like to get present states to be the most horrible present state you can get. Because that means you are going to move heaven and earth to change. Especially, but the only thing about this is once you describe the present state as being probably the worst you can think of. Don't make it sillily worse, if that's a word. Make it factual, but don't hide it. Let's be truthful about ourselves. For me, there's things I've done and I've called myself a dick. And I know I was at that time, and that's something I've got to change. So I would write that down. But also, you have to do the second part of this, which is how you want to be. What is that desired state, that desired behavior, that desired way of being in the world? You have to do both together. Because if you only do the negative side, life's worth not living. Oh, that's just it. Everything I just carry on. Now we do the other one, you go, now I know what I want in the world. And I've thought about it, but I've never written it down. Because when you write it down, because if you write the negatives down, knowing you're going to change, you can realize how crappy they are, how silly they are, how they are no longer appropriate. That anger or whatever, or that fear is no longer getting what you want. It's not supporting you. And one thing, is it comfortable? Is it safe? Is it helping little old planet Earth? And is it helping other people? All the ecology? And the answer is going to be no, 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 no. So now you know you've got to change. And then you know which direction you're going to change. And it feels bloody good because when you write it down, you have to describe what it'll feel like. And when you describe what things feel like, you have to feel them because you can't describe them any other way. You can't go, oh yeah, I'll be happy. No, I will feel this way. I'll have this wonderful sensation in my heart and it's going to be beating. I'm going to be smiling and it's going to be painful in my bloody cheeks because I'm going to be smiling so often. I'm going to be loving this bit of world. That means you relive it. Now you've got the motivation, the value. This is why it's so important to me. you get a top value. This is why it's so important. It's got to make me feel so good, so safe. It is going to be good for me. It is going to be good for other people. It's going to be good for little old planet Earth because I'm going to do good stuff in the world. See, all ecology comes back in. Then you'd write down the things that you have available to you to change. So it could be here, if we're changing behaviours or emotions, you go, well, I've got Joseph's hypnosis tracks. I've got some of the modules. For people who've gone through all the modules, you've got all the modules as tools now to be able to change. You've got Q&As here that you can keep asking people exactly what you want. So even though it may not be exactly to do with mind mastery, it is because it's about you and what you want to do and how you can do it. You may have friends to support you. You may have books. There's maybe old courses that you've been on that you can remember that, now it makes sense. It didn't make sense then. Now it does. Maybe you've got things like, I don't know where this came from in my head just then, but you've got the beautiful moments in life. You go, that's a great resource. If I start with the state of all the beautiful moments in life, and life is beautiful, life is wonderful, I'm going to be able to get to my desired state a lot quicker than if I think life's a pail of crap or anything like that. So now I've got a direction, I know where I want, I've got the pull. All I have to do then is begin to think. Out of all of those, I now know where I want to go, I know where I'm leaving. I also know if I jump that far, I'm going to end up with a result which is what I don't want. So Paul has said, pick the smallest. Pick the smallest thing. And you pick something and then you ask yourself, is there a smaller step? Because I tell you now, you will always pick the step which is 2 or 3 too big. Even when you try to pick the smallest one. Because we have this thing that we have this thing, we have to make it tough on ourselves. Let's make it bloody hard. And why would you want to make things bloody hard if there's an easy way? Or a simple way? Or easy. Sometimes even those little steps. Take willpower, take a little bit of push, take a bit of looking at that desired state, getting that pull from that motivation, that value. But you find the smaller step and you put it in your diary, you put it in your day. I'm going to do it today. You're even going to record some of it maybe in one of these saying that was a beautiful moment. When I did that one little step to move towards that goal, that change, it was a beautiful moment because the beautiful moment is congratulating yourself for carrying it out. And then you work out the next and the next and the next. And what happens is those small steps don't stay that small. This small step gets bigger and bigger. And it's like when you go to the gym, you can start to lift heavier weights. You can't in the beginning, or you can run further, run faster. You can walk faster, row faster. You can do anything. You can focus for longer because you're now training yourself towards that goal. And what you might find, and here's the kicker, you're going towards that desired state and something comes along and goes, here's something better. Because what do we always tend to say? This or something better. Good old Shakti Gawain comes, slaps you on the back of the head and goes, no, you can have something better. So as you're going along towards that goal, something comes a little bit better and you go, oh, I'm allowed to turn a little bit off because now I know I want to go over here because it's going to get a better result. Because if you've done a big jump, got overwhelmed and let it go, you've missed it completely. And what a shame. You'd have to start again. But now we can do that. So that's something I would do, and I do on my puzzle book. I call them puzzle books, which is a book that I have that is all my little problems and my little things I want to work out in my life. So I have this thing called a puzzle book. I actually sell them, by the way. If anybody wants to buy a puzzle book, I will sell them to you. But the thing is, you could go to any stationery store and buy a book, a plain book. That's it. That's your puzzle book. No, you don't need anything fancy. You can even have a little one like this. So I don't sell them, by the way. You just buy them. But what we can also do, once you've done all of that, you've got all those things, we could actually just think about it before we jump in, just to make sure. And that's what I wanted to do today, really, to finish off with a little bit of a process. So, and it's more the process might resolve something for you straight away. It might give you an idea what your smallest step is. Or it might hone in on the desired state, your goal that you want to be, how you want to be. But it's more of a process just to get your unconscious mind and your conscious mind to get thinking of the steps along the way. So what is the thing I want to change? How do I want to be? What are the resources I've got? And what are the smaller steps I can take to get there? So I wonder if it's okay, something you like to change. And it could be something really, really big, not the core issue you're on in Mind Mastery, because we've got that process and you're going to crack that. You're going to knock that out of the park. You're going to feel so good and you're going to keep telling us. But something that you'd like to either improve upon, to change. Something could be big, could be small. And I want you just to go inside for a moment and just notice and ask your unconscious mind, now I've thought about this thing I would like to change. Just ask. And it's always good to ask this question before you do anything. Is it okay with you, my unconscious mind, to make these changes today and have an undeniable experience of it consciously? And notice what you get. And the answers you'll get is either yes, no, or maybe. If you get a no, then you want to explore it further before you jump in. You're going to say, well, okay, what's the intention? And just work out, make sure it's the best thing you want. If you get a maybe, that's brilliant. I love maybes in all of this, because a maybe says, I'm going to do it, but if I don't find it's a better way, then I'm not changing. And why would you want to change if it's not a better way? But the thing is, we know it's going to be a better way anyway, because it's a desired state you don't want and you're uncomfortable with. And the desired state is something you're going to be really good with and comfortable with. So it's a no-brainer for me. The unconscious mind is going to, but it's not going to jump to it, which is what I like. I don't like unconscious mind goes, yeah, give it to me. No, I want you to assess it. Just think about it unconsciously and then move forward. So once you ask that question, if you get a yes and a maybe, fine. If you get a no, pick another one for the moment and that'll be work out. And when you've got that little thing that you want to change, or big thing, just get a different impression. What I'd like you to do, if it's okay, is to close your eyes. Because we're going to do this eyes closed. You don't have to, but it's nice to have it eyes closed because you've got nothing to distract you. And as I like to always do, I want you to take a nice in-breath with me for the count of 4. Hold it for the count of 4. And then breathe out gently for the count of 8. All the way down. And feel yourself being drawn down. And then breathe normally, but in my normal way, making every in-breath more gentle than the one before. And feeling every out-breath drawing you deep inside, just a little deep inside, where you can connect with your unconscious mind. And because this is not, it is hypnosis, but it's not deep hypnosis, because it doesn't need to be. You can go as deep as you want. Or you can just be aware of everything. You're going to be aware of everything that's going to happen anyway, because you are consciously leading this now. This is where we're going to get conscious and unconscious integration. Guiding, setting your goal. The conscious mind being the goal setter. Your unconscious mind being the goal getter. And I want you to think just now of that first circle. The thing you want to change. And just in your mind, you could maybe describe it, the way you feel, the way it makes you feel after, the effect of it. For me, when I work with bits of anger, I get a little bit of grief after it. I feel sad after. So maybe there's the things that you feel after the event, the effects, but also in the moment. And just describe to yourself how uncomfortable maybe it is, or how it's not healthy, because the negative emotion and negative belief is unhealthy. Maybe you can acknowledge the positive intention. Your unconscious mind trying its very best. Trying its very best, but the behaviours, beliefs and emotions are no longer appropriate because it no longer feels comfortable. and it's not what you want. So maybe just in your mind, describe it to yourself. Describe it to your best friend. How it makes you feel in the moment, post-moment, the physical feelings. And then let it stay in that circle, that metaphorical circle. Leave all that description in that metaphorical circle. And head on to the next one. How you want to be. So it's completely different now. The other one's over there. You are completely cut off from that. You've done your bit there. You're now in the desired state. How do you want to be when you've made the changes? So it's not how you're going to make the changes, why you're going to make the changes, but you've made the changes already. You might see yourself first over there, being the way that you desire. Maybe you're seeing yourself walking, talking, maybe in with people, communicating with people, doing that thing with ease, as if you've been doing it forever. So natural now. And you may just then float into that you and describe everything that you want, how you want to be. Maybe you want to be more calmer, maybe you want to be more aware, maybe you just want to have more energy, maybe you want to be more creative. Whatever comes to mind, you choose, and please do not be an adult. Have that childlike quality of imagination and creativity, where anything and everything is possible. Have it the way you choose now. And as you do that, notice how it feels, but also notice from this point onwards, what will it allow you to do that's even more better? Maybe you'll make better acquaintances, connect with more people. Maybe you'll serve the world better. Maybe your contribution will just go up and up, because when you do that, it just feels even more better. It feels bloody awesome. Maybe you see the effects on your family, your friends, your loved ones. And then notice how it affects yourself, your reaction to yourself, how much better you feel about yourself. Maybe even how much you love yourself. That's maybe a big jump, but it's a big jump to make, because you're here. You're in your desired state, how you want to be, so you're going to have that love yourself and everybody else. Giving and receiving love, making a difference to you and the world and everyone else. And feel that feeling. And now I want you to hold on to that feeling. Just the feeling. And as you move away from that circle, we're going to move into that circle which we call the circle of stretch. Because each step will be a stretch. Because you're starting from that desired, from that present state, the state you want to change from. And you're moving towards this feeling. Now maybe just consider for a moment the skills that you have. Skills maybe you're not using at the moment, but you've certainly got those skills. And those skills can actually be emotional skills too. Because if it's calmness, you've been calm before. If you've been connected, you've been connected. If it's connection, you've been connected before. You've made a difference before. You've made people laugh before. You've made people feel comfortable before. A bit like my qualities. All those wonderful things. You've got mind mastery here. You've got Joseph, you've got myself. All as your support. And knowing you've got all those skills, all those resources, you've got that wonderful set of positive beliefs about yourself. Holding that wonderful feeling of that desired state, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Ask your unconscious mind, what is the smallest step I can take today that will move me towards this wonderful feeling? This or something better. What is the smallest step? Something that's so small that might even seem insignificant to me, but knowing as I build upon it, like a domino rally, getting bigger, faster, quicker, where the steps will get bigger. But what is the smallest step that I can take? So when I do it, I can even record it so I can remember it forever and build upon it. And just sit quietly for a moment and notice what comes to mind. And take any judgment from it. Don't edit it, because this is your best friend. I'm going to make this wonderful change with you and have an undeniable experience of it changing consciously. And knowing that every step you take, this feeling of the wish fulfilled will get stronger and stronger because it's being triggered by the steps that you take. And this feeling is triggering the steps that you take. So it's a wonderful loop. And when you have that little thing, that one step, I'd like you to commit to it. Think of a time when you can do it comfortably and commit to making that step, and then think about recording it later. And then when you've got that, you can open your eyes, come back into the room, as they say, and notice everything around. And just notice how you feel now. How you feel about that old state that you want to change, that behavior, and how you feel about the steps you're going to take. Okay, so I do hope you enjoy that and you use that process. If you want to learn more about the program that Joseph runs, it's josephclough.com, and it's called Mind Mastery. And it's a lovely program, and it's a program where you become what we call part of the Mind Mastery family, where you get supported along the way by both Joseph and I and everybody in the program. It's such a supportive place to be. We celebrate, we support each other, and people make magical changes. It's not magic, but they make magical changes. So if you're interested, just hook up with josephclough.com and have a chat with Joseph. But that's not the push for this. The push is for you to be able to make changes easily and effortlessly. And this is a nice little process to begin to do that. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please do share everything you've learned here, if you would. And let me know if there's anything else you need. Email me feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com, and we'll see if we can get some more processes. We can either develop them, find new ones, get some old ones back out, and find ways that we can really change ourselves in wonderful ways. Okay, so until the next time, my friend, it is time to fly.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.